sensational free kick. Corner with a brilliant finish.
In from Phil Foden.
Haaland scores. Mahrez gets his hat-trick.
Welcome to your window on Wembley. I am here live at Box Park with the best fans in the world as we look forward to the FA Cup Final 2023. And I cannot wait.
Yeah, me too. Thanks, Natalie. And I'll be here in the commentary position alongside Michael Brown to give you all the exclusives ahead of the game. It's going to be a cracker, isn't it? Where are you, Kel?
Well, Ali, I am absolutely buzzing because I'm here pitchside in Wembley Stadium, in this iconic, prestigious venue, also known to me as the Etihad South. I'm going to be bringing you all the action alongside Alex Williams and Steve Howie. I mean, does it get any better than that?
Well, actually, Kel, it does get better because I will be walking around, going backstage behind Wembley, catching up with, well, whoever will talk to me. So if you haven't got a ticket for the match, the next best seat in the house is right here on Matchday Live.
The final FA Cup is a dream to play there.
The FA Cup is something very special.
And it's cup final day at Wembley.
Oh joy, more ecstasy. This time labelled Manchester.
Harvest scenes here at Wembley at its absolute best.
Goal scored by Toothy, which took the cup to Manchester.
Reeving, who lets it run. Here's Hayes. City score.
Such a potent threat, and somebody wriggles his way through. This is a big chance. It's a goal. They are the winners in Wembley.
Derby Day is City's day, and it won't be the last. Touré! It is an FA Cup final massacre.
History beckons for Manchester City and Guardiola.
A Manchester derby in the FA Cup final for the very first time.
What a goal that is! City fans, book your trips for Wembley.
Here come Manchester City on the attack.
The season is really, really good. So now we hopefully have to lift it.
Well, if the excitement wasn't already palpable, it will be after watching that. And let me tell you, in the Box Park, which is just outside Wembley Stadium, what you're seeing now, the excitement has been building all morning because, as we know, we are making history today as Manchester City meet our arch rivals Manchester United for the first time in our history in an FA Cup final, hoping that we'll be getting our hands on the iconic trophy for a seventh time. 2019 was the last time we won here at Wembley in the FA Cup, and I know the boys in blue and Pep Guardiola and his staff will be hoping to do that today, but of course standing in our way, as I said, Manchester United. We're going to be bringing you all the action from around the ground, inside the stadium, and let me tell you, if there's one place you want to be, it's right here with us on Matchday Live, because we're going to be bringing you all the action from around the ground. Dear friends, Cel Spellman with you on Matchday Live. Welcome along. We are live pitchside at Wembley Stadium, and I, for one, am very excited, albeit a wee bit nervous. I mean, who isn't before Derby Day, especially when it's in an FA Cup final? Standing alongside me are two club legends in the form of Alex Williams and Steve Howie. Gents, a very good afternoon. Alex, I'm going to begin with an obvious question. Why is the FA Cup trophy the most prestigious and most historic in football?
Well, from years gone by, it was something the whole nation actually stopped and stood still and watched all the games. So it really is an important trophy. There's many others come along, Carabao Cup, obviously Champions League, but this is the one, you know, if you want to win a national tournament, this is the one to win.
Now, Steve, as I said, we've won it 6 times. The last time was in 2019. There has been a lot of chat, particularly Gundogan yesterday was speaking about how the boys in blue will be wanting to win it for that 7th time. But how difficult is it going to be, particularly given that it is against United?
Well, I think any final is going to be a difficult one. I mean, obviously, yeah, Man City did have the one against Watford, I think it was. But listen, this is a derby. It's a one-off game. It's going to be difficult. I think if Man United turn up, it will be a difficult game. But I have to be honest, I think if Man City turn up, it won't be a difficult game, because we've seen them play and the standards that City have reached this season, with some of the performance, they've been absolutely breathtaking. So if they can reach that kind of level, and I'm talking about kind of Bayern Munich or Real Madrid performances, then Manchester United can't live with them. But as I said, it is a one-off. but hoping it'll be a really good game and one which City will come out on top.
It's one thing I love about this show. It's always the legends that just make me feel a little bit more confident about the fixture at hand. We're going to dig into it a little bit more in the show later on, Alex, but we can't not mention, of course, we met United, not in a final, but in that, iconic semi-final. Yaya Touré's goal, that really felt like a turning point for the club, and then what we went on to do after that, didn't it?
Absolutely. We were just watching some clips earlier on, and it was just amazing to see Yaya's goal, going back even to way back when Bert Troutman broke his neck. So we've got some great history around this tournament, but that Yaya goal was the one that really sort of signed and sealed the fact that City were with one of the greats now in this country.
Absolutely. And Steve, we were here in 2018-19, a 6-0 win, a demolition job really over Watford. I call it the Etihad South, this stadium. How much could that help City, given that we know this pitch, and actually it's been quite kind to us when we are here?
Yeah, I definitely feel as though fans hugely play a part. I think when as players, when you walk out and you see just a mass of your own supporters basically taking over half the ground, it gives you such a lift. I mean, every team will say that. You look at the playoffs and how it was then as well. But when obviously City have been here numerous times in a good few years. So, for the fans, it is an experience which they're used to. The players are used to, but there's nothing like coming out on an FA Cup final, putting on a great performance, and picking that trophy up.
We're going to look at here the trophy lift from 2019, and it's the perfect opportunity, Alex, because our last home game of the season against Chelsea, we lifted the Premier League trophy for the 3rd successive season in a row, and you had the great honour of handing over that trophy. How was it being on the pitch, and what a moment for yourself as well, Alex?
Oh, it was absolutely amazing. I went on the pitch with a young lad called Tom O'Dell, who works within City in the community, which is where I work as an ambassador. But it was a great honour and privilege to be asked to actually go and present the award to all the players. It was just great to go on the field, great to get close up and personal, and great the fact that it was the 3rd in a row that I actually gave the trophies out to.
Well, it's a nice time to mention City in the community as well, because I think on the back of the shirts there is going to be the symbol of that. Of course, it's the charity that is associated with the club, and Alex, the work that you've done for it for over decades now, I don't think can be spoken about enough. Just how important is the work that City in the community do?
It's absolutely vital because, you say Manchester City to a lot of fans around the world and the first impression is money. But it's not about that. It's the give back we've been given since 1986. We've been working within the local community, and we're really proud and privileged that through the brand of the football club, we can deliver a lot of social messages. At the moment, there's a lot around mental health and well-being, so it's important for us to be seen to supporting local people, and I'm proud and privileged to have done that for the last 33 years.
Couldn't agree more, and I think as a fan as well, it makes us all very proud as well. Speaking of fans, we know it's probably not been the most easiest of journeys for us, but you guys are at Box Park, which we're going to go to in a second. Steve, outside the ground and when you've just been on the way into the stadium, how has it been feeling for those that are watching at home?
It's absolutely brilliant. I mean, it's weird because this is the second time I've been down this season, and it's a fantastic. When I've come down here, it's always been as a player. Yeah. Never as a fan, and to actually be in the Box Park, as you're seeing scenes here. I mean, me and I were in early doors. The atmosphere is absolutely superb. I mean, I think some of them's quite brave because they were getting on the alcohol a little bit too early. I don't know how they can, 'cause it's quite expensive if I'm being brutally honest. But they look as though they're having a fantastic time. Obviously, they'll come out of there, they'll come and watch the game, and hopefully it's just a wonderful day for them.
Speaking of, coming down as players, what does it mean? This is another obvious question, Alex, but for the players to be representing, the team, but in these competitions and in finals in particular?
It's the pinnacle of a player's career. You look at some of the great players. I was discussing it with Steve recently. A lot of world-class players have never actually had the opportunity to play at Wembley. So, for our players, we don't take it for granted because you never know what could happen week in, week out. But, the lads will be really bullied up today. They'll be raring to go, and obviously, potentially, it could be the second of a potential trilogy.
Okay, Alex, we've dropped it in there. I love that. Steve, I have to ask, we're going to be bringing you team news as soon as we can bring that very, very quickly. But Steve, we of course, last night to get me excited, I went back to that Derby Day win at the Etihad Stadium, 6-3. Will that play any bearing on today's game? Is that something we can take hope from, or is it almost a clean slate today, a fresh start?
I think every player is different. If it was me personally, that game's gone. You know, it's a new task, it's a new challenge, and they'll be playing against the Man United team who will be well up for it. Obviously, their players, they'll be thinking, you know, it's a great opportunity for us to not only win the FA Cup and do like a double really, because they've got the Carabao Cup, but obviously it spoils what City are going for. But ultimately, the Man City boys will be in that dressing room and saying to themselves and also saying to each other, look what we could do. I mean, they could do history here. And I think as a player, if you achieve something, if you go and make history at a football club, your name's there forever.
Absolutely. They'll be hoping to do that indeed. Well, listen, do not go anywhere. We're bringing you all the action, as I say, from inside the stadium, from outside the stadium. And I believe that I can now go to FG because he's caught up with one of the other City boys in the form of Nadim Anua. So let's hear how them two are getting on and what they're feeling about today's game.
Yes, thank you. Welcome to pitchside at Wembley. The sun is shining. It's Derby Day for the first time in the FA Cup final. Nadim, give me your thoughts on today's game.
I'll be honest. I want to feel really confident, but I'm also a bit nervous. It's right there for them. The FA Cup final is such a big game, and for City, it's the next step in what could be a great week. But why did it have to be against Man United? Why? You know what I mean? Like, this is literally and metaphorically their cup final as such. So I feel City, it's going to be down to them. If they play well, I think they'll win the game. But still, it's not going to be a fun watch, I don't think. But I'm still glad to be here.
It seems a little bit weird playing against Manchester United at Wembley as the favourites. I remember back in 2011 when we played them, and it was sort of...
Did you go to that one?
I was here. I was right at the top up there. Were you here as well?
No, I wasn't actually, no, because I was... we won't get into that, but I wasn't here, no. I wasn't here.
Well, it was very, very nerve-wracking. Yeah. And I feel like because it's a final, the stakes are going to be even higher. Let's talk about you as a Manchester City fan, because obviously everyone who's watching knows Nadim's a massive blue like us all. Yeah. What does it feel like as a City fan playing against Manchester United?
Well, to be honest, as a City fan and a former player, the feeling is not about playing against them, it's about beating them. Because just going up and playing against them, playing at Old Trafford or just being on the same field, that's not a thing. But 2007, 2008, when we did the double over them, that season, chef's kiss, my friends. That was magnificent, especially with that second win coming at Old Trafford in a game which we weren't supposed to win. So I think the competing against them, like when I was playing, it was obviously different. United were the favourites, but City arrived in this game as huge favourites, and it's because they played some of the best football that's ever been seen.
And statistically, under Pep, we are very good in finals. We're very good at Wembley. This is our second.
Talk yourself into it. Talk yourself into it, my friend. Yeah.
Let me just talk. We can hear a little bit of a choir behind us.
Yeah, that's just for my opinion.
The atmosphere is already rolling, and it's super, super early. Yeah, so, OK, let's talk about key jewels on the pitch. When we're looking at the pitch, when we're looking at how things are going, where do you see the game being won and lost?
I think City firstly have to be defensively solid, because I think United are going to try and frustrate them and then maybe try and hit them on the break. You know, they've got good pace up front, good dribblers in, say, Garnacho, Rashford, Sancho, and like Fernandes making runs from deep as well. So I think you need to make sure that you don't leave yourself too open. But also you just have to be clinical. City will have possession in United's half. But can you take your opportunities when they're there? Can the final ball be spot on? Because ultimately within this game, if City take the lead, I think it's going to be a long day for United, but if United take the lead, then everyone's going to be looking at the clock throughout the game. So,
how do you expect United to line up? Do you feel like they're going to sit back and play on the counter and play the long ball over the top of the defence and try and attempt to do that?
I think, to be honest, Ten Hag, one of his key assets is the fact that he likes to get his team to stretch the game in behind. I think that's why Rashford's been so good in the second half of the season. So I think they'll try and do that, but I don't think they'll sit back in the same way, say, Brentford did, because they are good players in there as well, so they will try and play. But it's just a case of understanding. He knows himself, City are one of the best teams out there now, so he's not going to try and go toe-to-toe with them. But I think tactically that's something in his back pocket. I'll be interested to see what it is today.
Well, hopefully Pep will have something in his back pocket as well.
He's got two back pockets, my friend. He's good to go. He's good to go.
What about your quick score prediction before we head back?
I'm going to say 2-1 City. Last minute winner. The crowd goes wild. Shirts are off. We're swinging it around.
Even my shirt will be off if we get a last minute winner.
Please don't. Take it back.
Well, the choir's just stopped, but the party hasn't stopped. We're going to head over to Cel, who's somewhere around Wembley.
We're on the other side of the pitch, FG. I'm alongside Steve Howie and Alex Williams. If you've just tuned in, welcome to Matchday Live. We are now looking at Manchester City's record at Wembley, so we can see it there. We've been here 37 times in our history, winning 18 times, drawn 5 and lost 14. Alex, we touched upon it a little bit at the start of the show, but I guess having some form of regular time here at Wembley, it kind of can help ease some nerves for the players, knowing that it's a pitch they've kind of done well on, particularly in recent years.
Yeah, absolutely right. You know, the more you come here, the more comfortable you feel. This is almost, with all due respect, a second home to us now, Manchester City fans. And it's great, and it does put the lads at ease. I was talking to Steve on the way in. It's a massive stadium. The pitch looks massive, but if you're used to that, then it does help you when you've got to go out and play.
Steve, it does seem, speaking of the pitch size, and I've thought this over the last few years, that kind of suits the way City plays, particularly with Pep. We know he likes to stretch the pitch, and then when you've got players like Gundogan and De Bruyne, fingers crossed, who knows, they might be starting, it does seem to suit our style of play a little bit better.
It does, yeah, because teams don't want to be too spread.
Yeah.
They want to keep it nice and tight, nice and compact. Obviously, the dimensions of a pitch have got to be like kind of, there's a least amount and how big it can go. So you've got to be in those dimensions. But ultimately, City want it as kind of as big as possible. But we all know, though, they can play really well in this tight little areas with the little triangles. But I mean, it's such an impressive arena, this. If you're playing against a team in somewhere like this and you can't get the ball and you feel as though you're chasing and that's what Man City are really good at, keeping the ball and making you work so hard for it, it becomes a very long afternoon. And then it's so easy then just to switch off. And when you switch off, because City have got brilliant players, that's when they'll punish you.
Absolutely, and with the sun creeping in as well, it could get very hot on there as well. One time we did see that was in the semi-final against Sheffield, and we can take a look actually at our road to Wembley. I want to begin with the stat. I mean, this could be, if we don't concede, Alex, and if we do win it, Manchester City would have done the whole run into the FA Cup trophy without conceding a goal, which hasn't been done in over 100 years. That would be an unbelievable feat.
It is, you know, and from a goalkeeper's point of view, you know, that's absolutely amazing. Clean sheets right the way through. I think the stats, so I'm sure you'll correct me, is something like 17-4 and none against this season.
That's the one, yeah.
That's the one, yeah, I've got that right. So it'd be great if we can add to that today and make it, I believe, our 7th FA Cup final win, hopefully.
And I mean, we can see there, sometimes I think it gets thrown at Manchester City, an easy draw, Steve, but you look here, we've had to beat the likes of Chelsea, beat the likes of Arsenal. Then, of course, as well, we had Vincent Kompany's Burnley side who had a brilliant season. It's not been easy for us this year, and actually the performances we've put in, though, have just been a credit to the performances the team have been doing all season. Yeah,
I mean, listen, there's always people that'll come up with it's been an easy run through and stuff like that. Believe me, to get to the final, no matter who you play, it's not easy.
Yes.
It's tough. You know, we've seen how well defending Sheffield were, Sheffield United. It was difficult to break down, and the team, the lads, they had to bide the time, just, you know, move the ball, make sure they get them moving, working hard, and then, of course, just catch them when they could. And eventually, I mean, look, you look at the scoreline, you think, oh, it's a breeze, but it wasn't. For me, I thought they did very, very well just to sort of keep at Sheffield United, keep at them, and they got the desserts in the end. But hopefully they can do the same, because I think Man United today, for me, I think they'll be massively worried about how offensive Man City will be. They'll be trying to keep it nice and tight early doors, but if there's an early goal,
who knows?
Yeah.
Well, looking there, we've just been watching, of course, that another historic hat-trick from Riyad Mahrez in that semi-final. Alex, he was the man of the match, and it was an unbelievable performance from him.
He was, but I think you've also got to give a little bit of credit to the other players as well. I mean, I was just watching one of the goals where Haaland was running through and everybody was so frightened of Haaland. They all went to Haaland and Mahrez just walked right through the open gate, so to speak.
Yes.
So it was great. We've got danger all over the field, especially going forward, where I agree with Steve. I think the game will be won and lost with the front players, and we've got, I think, the best front players in the country.
Couldn't agree more, Alex. Right, as you know, we let you know every show. The official Manchester City app, that is where you can gain access to City Plus and Recast, not forgetting as well our exclusive live commentary. And this game, it comes from, of course, Alistair Mann, who is alongside Michael Brown. We can get their thoughts now ahead of our historic final against Manchester United. They're in the stadium somewhere. Ali, what are you thinking?
Yeah, thanks, Kel. We're building up towards kick-off time now. Alongside me, indeed, my co-commentator this afternoon, the former City midfielder, Michael Brown. Michael, I guess the question everybody's wondering, do you think Pep's going to select a side, bearing in mind the Champions League final 7 days later?
Oh, thanks for that easy question on Pep Guardiola's team. I mean, as we know, he makes changes when you don't expect it, different people in different positions. Let's just hope it's going to be a squad and a team that can cope with this today. Yes, we're all looking forward to the Champions League, but I think this is where the manager and the team are excellent, aren't they? They're understanding what's ahead of them. A real difficult afternoon in a cup final, and it's going to be a great occasion, and against our rivals, it doesn't get any better.
Everyone says City are odds-on favourites. Everyone's saying this is a formality. Why isn't it a formality?
Well, I think we've got to understand, we've seen in FA Cups over many years that the underdogs can get results, and it's crazy how much of an underdog our rival in Manchester United are, which tells you how far the football club have come, the way the team are playing. But again, you've got to understand that they've got some great players, some players who can hurt you, counter-attacking. But I really do expect City to really dominate the possession, dominate the ball, and let's hope it's a really strong start. But it's the FA Cup, so I understand it. Supporters from Manchester United are actually saying they don't want to come in case City win so good. So that's where we are.
Is it possible that City could do another 6?
Well, 6. I mean, I'd take just a win for now, but 6 would be wonderful. I don't think we can get carried away. You know, it could be a really tight game that goes all the way to penalties, and I think obviously the club will be ready for that. The players will be. Let's hope a few of those players who have had the knocks can come back. It's not too much of a risk. But it's a huge football game, ready for a huge week, and again, you're going to need the squad.
The two different derbies, the one at the Etihad obviously was a one-sided affair, the one at Old Trafford a little bit tighter, but City were dominant. Which one gives us the greatest clue as to what we might see today?
If I was saying in normal games where you're at the Etihad, you'd say it'd be really comfortable for City, even going to Old Trafford. I think City were comfortable until that crazy decision. We were both on comms, weren't we? And we were saying, how can that be? How can it happen? We're all trying to get round the rules of offside, but we said straight away, you know, it's not the right decision. But here, it's just something different. It can create some magic at certain times you're not expecting it. But you know, I think what'll be good is City will be really comfortable. The players will be confident. They'll feel really that they can go and enjoy this. And let's make sure that they don't have one eye on next week. And then it should be a really, if they play like they are, a comfortable sort of win for me.
You're a player. You played at Wembley. You played in an FA Cup final. Presumably, when you go into challenges, you aren't thinking about anything other than that moment, and you're in that moment. And in other words, the Champions League final's not even in the back of your mind.
Do you know what? It's in your mind.
It is.
Do you know, it's in your mind when you've got huge games coming up. That you can't lie on that. You've got to plan. You've got to prepare. You've got to be ready. But again, you also understand that if you don't go full out, if you don't play your normal game, then just leave your leg in or something happens, and that's what it is. And I think the difference is these players have been there before. They've done it on an international stage, so that they've won many things. They've been there so many times. I think that helps the situation on this occasion, that it's not your first, and it's not going to happen again. So I think they'll be a little bit more comfortable.
Just one final thought that I'm going to pose to you particularly. You were part of the 99 playoff final, the year in which United won the treble and City looked like they were going to have another third-tier season, 2-0 down with just minutes to go. Can you describe what we've witnessed in this last 24 years? Put it into perspective for us.
Well, I remember obviously the day here when we won 99. It was a strange situation for me because I pretty much knew it was going to be the end of my City career, which was quite a strange feeling, but really to end on a high was quite special. But then you've watched the change around from the football clubs. Manchester United had a really good run, obviously, stayed in and around it for many years. The last few years they've struggled, but we've just watched a huge growth of Man City, and I feel like it's getting stronger, it's getting better globally, and I think these are the situations. If you can get a treble, win the Champions League is the most important thing for me, to try and just see that one, box it off. But it's not just on the field, I think it's off the field how far the football club have come.
Well, those are the thoughts of Michael. Myself and Michael will be bringing you our exclusive commentary, so make sure that you download the app.
You heard the man. Do you see what Alice? No, move on swiftly. But the official Manchester City app is where you can get commentary from Mr. Alistair Mann and Michael Brown. So we've heard from the fans. We've got early thoughts from Steve Howie and Alex Williams. We've also heard from our commentary team. I think it's now time that we hear from both managers ahead of this all-exciting, historic Manchester City final.
It's a final, so nothing else.
We want to win. We want to win a cup.
It's a football game. Finals is how you will be that moment, the 90 minutes. It's not what you have done in the past, how good you are or not good you are. It's how you perform individually as a team and all the details during these 95 minutes.
It's definitely a big game, but so I don't want to make an assessment on what is the biggest game, but we have a great opportunity and we have a good opponent, a great opponent, and yeah, we looking forward to the test.
I cannot say we are friends because we are not in touch much, so we have a short experience in Munich, no more than that, but I think really, honestly, I think Man United has an exceptional manager for many, many years.
I played many cup finals in the Netherlands as a player and as a coach. And it was always fantastic experiences. And in the Netherlands we have the Kuip, and that's a special place to be. But Wembley, I think that is, probably the best stadium in the world. And to be there in a cup final, yeah, it's really exciting.
I don't have to tell them. We know what we're playing for. It's a final FA Cup against United, and the chance to add another title of the season. So this is the mentality that we have right now.
We want to win. We want to win a cup, and it's not about stopping them. It is about that we win a cup. We have a great opportunity.
I understand completely for the City fans, like you say, we're in the shadow for decades.
Every game you have to win. Yeah. If you play football, football is about winning. It's about results. So yeah, every game you play, you have to win.
So try to do, the best game as possible.
Thoughts ahead, of course, of this historic FA Cup final. It's the first time Manchester City will be meeting Manchester United in this stage of the competition. Now, of course, like me and all Manchester City fans around the world, one man who is arguably a man of the people is Mr. Phil Foden. He's been in some great form in this competition, 3 goals and 2 assists, and as we know, a boyhood blue, a lifelong blue, and he would definitely be hoping to get one over our rivals today. He was giving us his thoughts ahead of the game and also speaking about some of his favourite moments in the competition from some of his favourite players this season.
Hi, it's Phil here, and this is my FA Cup tier list.
It's Mahrez. He's going for goal and he finds it! Top corner from Riyad Mahrez!
Wow, good start. I just want to know though, did it take a deflection? Am I allowed to stand up close?
Yeah, go on.
It did.
I didn't actually see that. Does it take a deflection?
Let me see again, please. Sorry.
He could not have hit that better.
Oh, it does.
Well,
it's still a great finish in my eyes, though. Riyad, it's not very easy to score from free kicks. I don't think we score that many, to be honest, free kicks. Obviously, Gundo scored one recently as well. I'm going off how hard it is to score, which is quite hard from where he was. It's took a little deflection, but it's still a great strike. So, I think we're gonna go here or here. I don't know.
See, I don't know. That's a B more than a C. Surely.
Yeah, B.
Come on, yeah.
All right.
Come on.
B.
Harsh teacher, you.
Glad Riyad's not in here at the moment because they'd be killing me.
We're going on to the next one.
Can he get beyond the defender, Tomiyasu? He can't quite. On it goes to Ake.
What a finish. He's my guy, he is. Right foot as well, you've got to take that into account.
All right, nice, yeah, that's it.
I really like that finish, It's not easy, that, with the right foot. I can imagine me on my right there, I don't think it's going in. Being a defender gets a bonus point, right foot, that's another bonus point.
You said you like the build-up's nice.
Yeah, I like what Jack does very well. He has 2 players on him and somehow he managed to find the pass. Oh, it's a great goal, that, to be honest. It's a great finish. Honestly, actually.
Phil's got mad respect for Nathan Ake.
I've got mad respect for him. He's player of the season. I'm going to go B. My player of the season. I'll go B for now. Why have you put this one in? Shocking goal. I don't even think it was going on target.
It's set up there for a low drive. It's a second goal this time from the right-hand side from Phil Foden.
I've got to be really honest. I'd love to put myself up there, but it's not the case.
It's not your best goal of the season, but you know, it's a goal.
I think I'm going to go D. That's even being generous, that. Don't think it was on target.
Yeah, I think you should get a bonus point for going and high-fiving one of the fans as well after in the celebration.
Yeah,
celebration
shows what I do in it.
Man of the people.
Man of the people. I used to be in there one day. I was in there celebrating the lads.
Grealish has gone.
Oh yeah, I think this one's great. I remember this one.
And it goes to De Bruyne. City looking for a third goal. De Bruyne hits it into the back of the goal.
Kevin De Bruyne.
Only scores bangers.
Yeah, that is a banger. I think I've got to put that in A, you know. It's difficult. From where he is, it's a great strike, you know. No, that's A for me. That's class. What a finish.
It's like you're a fan watching these, Phil.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I'm happy now. I'm happy with that list.
All right, well, maybe in the final you can get one. And we'll,
maybe you should have shown me the other one, actually, not that one.
Thanks to Phil Foden there, giving us his FA Cup goals tier list. And isn't it great to hear him say man of the people? When he was young, he was in there with the fans, and now he's out on the pitch doing it for us all around the world. He's put Kevin De Bruyne's goal as his favourite. He's just been awarded Playmaker of the Season again, Alex. That's the third time he's won that award now. We kind of run out of superlatives to say about the king himself.
He is, he's absolutely superb, and I think he's that good. We just take it for granted at Manchester City Football Club. You know, I think potentially other than Haaland this year, if you ask every other Premier League club which player would they want, most would say Kevin De Bruyne. He does things that nobody else can do, you know, and he has a certain style of movement which makes him look as though he's not moving very quickly, but he's a lot quicker than people think he is. And, you know, his ability to strike dead balls and, you know, shots from outside the edge of the box, he's unbelievable. He's scored some brilliant goals this season.
Yes, you also can't understate as well, though, those players that step up in the big moments and in the big games. I do feel, particularly in the last few seasons, in those moments, he is one that comes to the forefront. I even think of Villa, the last game of the season, the Arsenal game at Etihad this year. When we need someone to come out with a little bit of magic, he always delivers, and it's so key to have those players in the team, almost reminiscent of Yaya Toure.
Yeah, I mean, listen, most of us have been pretty fortunate to play with good players, but top players are the ones that do come and sort of get you that win, get you that vital ball, get you that vital goal, assist, whatever it is. And you know, he's certainly done that. I mean, I've been blessed in a way with playing with certain players, i.e. Gascoigne's, Beardsley's, Ginolas, Asprey's. I mean, even when I was at Man City, Al Berkovic, Ali Benarbia. But I mean, he is just so good. And yes, you can put a ball, we're just saying a pass here, and yes, you can put that ball in that area, but it's the pace of the ball. It needs to be absolutely spot on, because it goes inside the defender, but it's perfectly weighted for the player to run onto it. Obviously cuts inside and finishes it off, because you can easily overpass that, you can easily underpass it.
Yeah.
So to get that spot on takes an extraordinary talent.
This season, Alex, it's been record breaking after record breaking, and while we're speaking of achievements of the club so far, we can't not mention as well the man who's on the back of this shirt, Mr. Erling Haaland. He is made history again. First player ever to be crowned the Young Player of the Season and Player of the Season in the Premier League, and it's so deserved, of course, with him breaking that most goals scored as well in the season.
Yeah, we all had high expectations when Erling Haaland came to the football club, but I think it's fair to say he surpassed everything we thought he would do. You know, his biggest problem now is what's he going to do for next season. You know, you look at his goals, it's almost 50 goals, or is it 50 goals? You put that to any of the Premier League club and it makes a massive difference. and he's just been a revelation for us. I just hope he stays fit long term. We can keep him happy because, you know, this season will be the start of many seasons to come where we're going to be hopefully winning multiple trophies each year.
I mean, Steve, I've learned, especially from doing the show with you guys, there's one about having the ability to do it on the pitch, but the biggest side of it is the mentality and what goes on, you know, kind of in the way they conduct themselves and how they think about the game. When you hear him speak for 22 years old, he does really have such an astute outlook on the game and also his own performances. He doesn't seem to get ahead of himself or carried away.
No, he doesn't. I mean, I think he's massively improved that side of, like, kind of, you know, the interviews and stuff. Cause I remember getting him when he was getting interviewed when he was at Dortmund, and you could see it was difficult for the reporter to get anything out of him, but he has changed so much. But he always says as though, which is absolutely right, he's just calm. Yeah. You know, why should he get kind of hepped up about everything? Yes, he can't go out because he's 6 foot plus, he's got blonde hair, he's got that, you know, sort of Viking look, if you want. But, you know, there was one of the goals there that we seen, which is just about sums him up, because we all know he scores goals and he's aggressive and he can get any kind of goals. But it was the goal against Brighton when he's just ran through and then the defender was next to them. He's pushed them off as though he's just absolutely nothing. And the player is a big, strong centre-half. That just goes to show just the sheer power of him. And that's why he terrifies defenders.
30 minutes till team news. We'll be bringing you that first here on Matchday Live. I'm sure it's been a bit of a headache for Pep Guardiola to choose his team, Alex. But he's another man who's won some awards. He got the Barclays Manager of the Year, and he also got the LMA award as well, which is the award voted for by other managers. Can we understate what the impact he's had at Manchester City, but his influence as well on football around the world?
Well, I think the latter comment you just made there is really important. Pep Guardiola has changed the way a lot of Premier League clubs and other football clubs up and down the Football League actually play now. And I do find it quite amusing trying to watch some of the Football League clubs playing out from the back, you know, and it's great to see them trying it, but what you've got to remember is you've got to have good players as well, with all due respect, and, you know, you've got to play to your strengths, and Pep brings players in who he knows can play with his system, and I think that's the big difference, and he instills, you know, an ethos within the club. Everybody buys into it, and they know if they don't do it, you know, they won't get in his team.
You've also got to admire him, as people say, the way he's so studious of the game. He lives and breathes football, and the players all say as well, he has this amazing ability to almost predict what's going to happen in the game. For us fans, it's great to know that he's on the side of the pitch choosing the team, because he almost feels like, well, we've got one up already on other teams.
Well, he's such a kind of a huge student, but also a master of the game. He must never, ever, you know, looking from the outside in, it's as though he never takes a second off. His mind is constantly on the go, and I would imagine even with his family, he's thinking about things, about how can he can improve individuals, how can he improve the team. As Al was saying, you know, he's brought in the inverted fullbacks, and then obviously John Stone's going in that area and stuff like that. And I mean, how he changes it, he makes it look so easy, but the work he must do, as well as the players, because the players must work so hard at these kind of things, because obviously it looks effortless on there, but all the hard work's done on the training pitch, and the hours and hours and hours that's been spent to actually get this right. But yeah, I mean, it's no surprise. I think for me, a manager of the season would always be somebody that wins the Premier League, because it's the toughest league in the world. But to be in the position that he's in also, which is here, an FA Cup final and a Champions League final. Wow.
Unbelievable. Yeah. Unbelievable. How lucky are we? In Pep, we trust. Right, so FG has been out and around the ground somewhere, so let's see what he's up to. Who has he managed to speak to now?
Now, I'm here early at the iconic walkway, which we jam-packed from football fans from red and blue from Manchester. Well, one team's from Manchester, but both teams will be hoping their side lift the trophy in a rivalry that runs very, very deep.
I have loved the FA Cup my entire life, and I'm lucky that I've seen City win it twice. But to win the FA Cup, to beat our nearest rivals, I mean, it would just be something so special, so incredible. The thought of it just makes my stomach jump, but also then makes me really nervous.
What it would mean to me to beat United in the FA Cup? Well, it's our opinionated neighbors, so we never want to lose to them, ever. It could be a game of tic-tac-toe. The FA Cup, historic. It's a tradition. It hasn't been back in Manchester in a very long time. We need to change that. And third, ironically enough, in order to win a treble, you need 3 trophies. So This is the next step on our way to the treble. Come on, City.
If we can beat them in the FA Cup final along the way, it'll be so much more sweeter. Just like 2012, we could have beaten anybody in that league and it would have been very, very sweet, having not won it for such a long time. But to let them think that they'd won it at Sunderland and then snatch it off them, that's so much sweeter. So Saturday, we need to beat them. We need to beat them like they've never been beaten before. And then it's in the history books. It's there forever. It will never be taken away. Come on, Blue Boys. Just do it.
Good morning. There's the arch. Feel sick. Feel absolutely sick. This is, well, the biggest Manchester derby ever, isn't it? But City on their game can win easily. Proven it so many times this season already in the massive matches. The derby itself, the 6-3, Arsenal, Real Madrid. Just got to do the same again today. Go on, City!
To win the first Manchester derby FA Cup final, it would put us in the history books. This is our time to create more history. Come on, City.
From Rugby Blues, somewhere on the M6. Come on, Pep, you're living our dream. Just play the dream and bring the cup back for us. We've now got a song for you for the players. Never felt more like singing the blues. 60 win, United lose, oh City. You got me singing the blues. 2 without 3 without 4. Never felt more like singing the blues. 60 win, United lose, oh City. You got me singing the blues. 2 without 3 without 4.
Blue moon, you saw me standing alone, without a dream in my heart, without a love of my
Well, Sarah, thank you so much. I tell you what, next season we're going to work on a little duet between you and Nathan Ake, I think. Great to get the excitement there from the fans who've been coming down in their droves. The stadium is slowly filling up beside me. The music is playing. And I know outside and around the ground, it's getting even more exciting. We're going to go to Nat a little bit later on, who's in City's fan park. But right now, I want to talk about something that I don't really speak about. It begins with the letter T, and there's been a lot of chat over the last couple of weeks, comparing it, of course, to that 99 team that has done the treble. Manchester United have done it. Manchester City and the fans will be hoping maybe we can match that, but of course, we've got to win today and then win next week in Istanbul. But the chat has been comparing the two teams, that team from 99 and our team today, where we can hear from some of our favourite City legends and our guests to see what they made of the two teams and who would make it in a combined 11.
Hey, good afternoon there. I'm joined in the studio by FG and by Nadem Anua. They're basically like two naughty school kids, but we're going to attempt to get them to behave for the next 10 minutes because we're going to have a look at two incredible teams. The treble-winning Manchester United team from 1999 and the current Premier League champions, possible further trophy winners, Manchester City. They've both done a combined team. And we're going to have a look at them now.
Yeah, there's a lot of controversy in that one. I mean, Paul Scholes.
But I've got a midfielder. I put, in my defence, I put Gundogan in instead of Scholes because Gundogan can tackle and Gundogan can also pass and he also scores goals and he gets more assists than what Scholes did. So,
well, Scholes used to do that better, times 10.
Scholes couldn't tackle. I remember him tackling us at Wembley and getting sent off and then we went on to win the Cup.
And then Haaland up front after one season. Yeah. One season of Haaland.
Who would you put in front? Okay. Who would you put in front of him? Cole.
York.
There's no
Rooney.
way. No, Saeed. Come on, bro. Saeed. The only thing that I need to explain is why Kyle Walker's not in. Kyle Walker's not in is because we put Irwin in as the natural left back, and in my system I like John Stones to step into midfield as the inverted fullback.
All right, Pep. Right, Saeed, let's see if Nadem's done more for you. So here's Nadem's combined team. Saeed, 5 Reds get into Nadem's team. What do you make of it?
Yeah, listen, I like Nadim. You're my new best friend.
Hey, I don't know if I want that from a United fan, but thank you.
No, there's a bit of balance in there. De Bruyne, for me, he's in there for me. I think he's an incredible player. I think he would probably be the one that would be kind of the crossover in terms of being, best all-timer. So, yeah, I think Nedim's is more balanced, bit more, reasonable. So, yeah, I like that one. I like that combined 11.
Big Steve, what do you make of Nedim's?
Yeah, went with Schmeichel. Dennis Irwin, obviously, left-sided player, brilliant player, no nonsense. Yeah, it's a good team. Andy Cole's a legend, you know what I mean? And what Nedim said about the goals that he scored without the penalties and that, you got to get him in there, maybe in a different formation. But yeah, it's a tough one. Man United treble 99. This City team yet to win them trophies. But yeah, it's tough. But can't argue with both teams. I think you've done a good job there, lads.
Could this team be matching the treble of 99?
Listen, we've got to stop here on Saturday, the 3rd of June. And if we can do that, then there will be no treble. But you guys got a good team, good manager, loads of world-class players everywhere on the pitch. I am worried, can't lie to you. I do have sleepless nights. So let's hope it doesn't happen on my behalf. But obviously for you guys, you're probably thinking, it's the best time to kind of complete this treble. 2 games, 180 minutes, and that's it. You've done the treble, haven't you?
To be fair, that United fan was very, very brave to come on with City fans there. How many of those United players would get in your combined Manchester United 99, Manchester City 23 team, Paul?
Against the team of today, this season?
Yes.
Honestly, look, they were great players, obviously, Beckham, Giggs, Skeen, Coles and everything else. But I look at both teams and personally, my own personal opinion, I think you know what I'm going to say. Absolutely none of them.
That is exactly what we'd expect from Paul Dickoff. And yes, I should have said, welcome, Paul. Thank you for coming down. We're still in Box Park. And not only have we been joined by the very lovely and shiny Paul Dickoff, but also the very lovely and shiny Premier League trophy. Oh, Paul, I never tire of seeing this trophy.
No, we don't. 3 in a row. We keep saying it, don't we? 5 at the last 6. It's absolutely beautiful. And it's great to be here with you guys and the fans. The atmosphere here is absolutely brilliant. Wouldn't expect anything less. And there's still 4 hours to kick off.
I know, can you believe it? I mean, the build-up inside Box Park, the atmosphere is absolutely incredible. I mean, what are you making of all the fans here, Paul?
Oh, I love it. Look, they're the best fans in the world. I say it all the time, and they backed us through thick and thin 24 years ago, and to see them here just after winning the Premier League, when we're going to win the FA Cup final later on in Champions League next year, it's the fans I'm absolutely buzzing for.
I love him. He's the most optimistic person I know. You said when we're going to win the FA Cup final. We'll get onto that in 1 second, but I quickly want to ask you about your player of the season, because we've talked on MatchDay Live this year about Erling Haaland, about Nathan Ake, about Kevin De Bruyne, but you have another pick for player of the season, don't you?
I do that, and might surprise a few people. Obviously, it's so difficult. You could put Rodri in there, Kyle Walker recently, Bernardo Silva, Ilkay Gundogan, but I'm going to go for Jack Grealish. He took a lot of stick last season. He started the season really well, but since he's come back from the World Cup, especially January time through and out the end of the season, I think he's been by far our best player and our most consistent player as well. So I'm going to give it to Super Jack.
What do you think has happened between Jack of last season, which, by the way, I thought he was good towards the end of the season, and Jack of this season, who is now a mainstay, a key part of this squad?
I think that's you hit the nail on the head. I think he believes that he's one of the main men in the team now. It took him a little while to settle last season, and he took a lot of stick for it, but he was only doing what the manager asked him to do last year. And sometimes under Pep, it does take players half a season to settle in, but this season he's just absolutely flying, full of confidence, taking players on. He looks as fit as I've ever seen him as well, which helps. And for me, he now believes that he's one of the main players in the team, alongside Kevin De Bruyne and Erling and all the fantastic players we're talking about. He now believes he's up there with it, and I think that's shown in his play.
I love his friendship with Erling Haaland as well, because they're so different but they're so alike, and they just seem to have bonded so well.
Yeah, there's a bit of man love going on between the two of them as well. They're both people forget that they're both still young. You know, Erling's only 22, Jack's not old in the great scheme of things as well. They're both good characters, they're both funny characters who like to have a laugh, but take the football very seriously, so I think that's how they got on so well. And you can see that connection on the pitch as well, not just off it.
Yeah, there really is. Now, in terms of the game today, you've already said when we win the FA Cup, so I take that is that you are feeling supremely confident.
Supremely confident. Do you know what, Natalie? I don't just want to win today, I want to batter them. You know, so I will take the win, but I'll go 3-0 Manchester City, hopefully more.
I'm just going to quickly tell the Blues around that might not have heard that. Paul Dickoff says we're going to batter United today. Are we having that? Batter United? Yes. There's a few shocked faces, to be honest, I think. A few shocked faces there at batter United today. Do you think that's just because everybody's nerves are just a bit too much for a derby right now?
No, look, I'm completely fine. I think and most City fans actually I'm speaking to are quite confident as well. You know, United have done well this season, don't get me wrong, but we're on a different level altogether. You know, we play as we can play, we'll absolutely destroy them.
I think that's the key as well, isn't it, for us? I mean, we don't want to have any dodgy VAR decisions, any referee decisions that we don't agree with. We just want a good game where we play to the best that we can and we show the world and them just how good we are.
Especially them.
I love that, especially them. So Box Park is absolutely bumping right now. The atmosphere is growing. We've got a supremely confident Paul Dickoff. We've got a beautifully shiny Premier League trophy. What more could we need?
Oh, thank you, Paul, and thank you, Nat. And here we are. The boys arriving at Wembley Stadium. Bernardo Silva and John Stones there, just getting off the city bus. The boys in blue behind them. There he is, man of the people, Phil Foden as well. We will be bringing you team news in 14 minutes' time. Who's starting? Who is that man chose there? We'll be the first to let you know here on Match Day Live. And alongside me, if you've just tuned in, is Mr. Steve Howie and Alex Williams. One of the biggest things this season, gents, I think has been consistency, particularly from that tweak of moving Stones into the midfield. Well, the big question I wanted to ask you was your players of the season. Phil Foden said there that his was Nathan Ake, and Alex, that was something that you shared the same sentiment of.
Well, I actually went for Haaland, but Ake has done brilliant, and you've got John Stones as well, you know, Kevin De Bruyne. There's so many players you could have selected. The only reason I went for Haaland was being a goalkeeper myself. I know how difficult it is to put the ball in the net. I don't think Steve does, because I think he did score 1 or 2 in his time as well. But for somebody to score 50-odd goals, it's absolutely unbelievable. So I had to give it to him because it's the one position, you know, that does make a difference on the field. Goals win games, and, you know, that's tremendous.
Steve, have I got it the wrong way around then? Who was yours?
Mine was Nathan Ake.
There we go. There we go.
I just thought there was a word that you used just before you went out, which was consistency. And yes, you can say that with Haaland. And you could, again, I agree with that. You could give it to so many of the players. But I just think what Ake has done for me, he has been so consistent, very difficult to beat. He's come up with an odd goal here and there. We've just seen a goal just there. Obviously, Kevin De Bruyne whipping one in, good header. But I just think for somebody to rely on, he's been absolutely superb. And instead of just going like kind of with the main ones, again, I think sometimes he might just go under the radar. But I think he's been absolutely ridiculously good this season.
Also as well, I mean, Alex, I know City don't really sign anyone with egos. I don't think they fit into the team. But I guess as well, he's a shining example of maybe someone last season couldn't really lock down his place, but he didn't complain. Pep talked about how hard he works off the pitch, and actually he's a great example of if you work hard, you will get your reward and you'll get your chance.
Absolutely, and I think that's what Pep's instilled with all the players. You know, he does say to them, look, you know, I'll give you an opportunity. You know, if you play my way and you play well, you'll have a chance to stay in the team. Now, obviously, he didn't do very well early doors, but he's gone full circle now and he's been brilliant. But he's also brilliant off the field as well, because not a lot of people know he actually won an award off the PFA for his contribution to going out to the community, especially the work with CITC. So well done to him as well for that.
Yeah, fantastic. Well done to Nathan Ake. I did just want to throw mine into the pot as well, which was Rodri. Another player who I think maybe given his role, you think throughout the years, we've had some great holding midfields, Nigel de Jong, Gareth Barry. They do the job maybe that doesn't get the limelight like a Haaland does, but how key has he been to Manchester City's success this season, but actually since he's come in and signed to replace Fernandinho, of course?
Well, again, he's got the odd goal, and one of the goals we know towards the end of the season was an absolute worldie when he stuck in the top corner. As a defender, I love a player like him because it actually protects me a little bit, and he does that work again a lot of people don't really see. He breaks things up. But not only is he a player that does break things up and gets in front and just protects me and the other centre-half or covers the ground across the back four, he can actually push on. And he also gives the other lads that's next to them, they can push on, they can get further up the field. They don't have to worry about getting exposed if they lose the ball. He's brilliant at having a team. So, yeah, again, I couldn't say I totally disagree with you, and I couldn't totally disagree with Al, because there's any one of them you would just go, yeah, okay, I get that.
Absolutely, I've loved watching him this season. I can now go back to FG. I believe he's found another one of the Matchday Live family in the form of David James. So let's hear what David had to say ahead of this FA Cup final against our arch rivals, Manchester United.
Yes, thank you, Kel. Joining me at another spot pitch side is none other than Manchester City's... just start again, yeah? Sorry, mate, my bad. Yes, thank you, Kel. Joining me at another part of pitch side at Wembley is Manchester City legend David James. Now, David, there's only one place to start, and it is in the position that you played in. Pep mentioned yesterday that Stefan Ortega will be starting today, which isn't really a surprise considering he's played every single cup game. How well do you think he's done?
Yeah, well, first of all, it's great to be here pitch side at Wembley for the Emirates FA Cup final. Wow, what a day. What a load of traffic getting down there as well. Yeah, I mean, Stefan Ortega could be helping Manchester City be the only team to ever win the FA Cup without conceding a goal. Wow.
And what do you make of Stefan as a goalkeeper? Because sometimes, I mean, you'll know better than me, but it seems like it could be difficult to step in as a goalkeeper when you're not playing as much. He's done brilliantly. He's made some brilliant saves, especially in this competition. I remember the game against Arsenal at home, which was crucial, and he's been great for us.
Yeah, I think without knowing what the team lineup is right now, it will be a strong team, and therefore Stefan, when he's been playing behind that solid defence, has added to it. You don't go this far into the competition without conceding a goal, without being a top goalkeeper, and fully confident that he'll have to show his qualities, I'm sure, but he will help City win the trophy.
What do you make of this Man City side then? Because we were just speaking a little bit off camera about the comparison. David James is a stat man, as everyone on Matchday Live knows. The comparison between that 99 side and this side. You've got a couple of stats up your sleeve, haven't you, for this?
Yeah, I can't remember all the numbers. I mean, I think the easiest way to compare them, given that City have to obviously win the FA Cup, win the Champions League, they're more than capable of doing that because they're fantastic, then it just becomes statistical. Manchester United of 99 played more games, but City have won more games, drawn less games, lost less games, scored more goals, conceded less goals. Statistically, this City side have the opportunity to be greater than that 99 side, and therefore the best treble-winning side ever.
We are watching a special side. How do you see today's game going?
I actually think because City will still put a strong side out. I'm not sure what the injury status is for some of the players, and obviously with the Champions League final next week, there has to be a consideration that if someone's not 100% fit, then maybe they'll be on the bench or rested. But I think a slightly weakened, strong City side is still good enough to beat Manchester United. I do anticipate there might be some extra time.
Ooh,
but no penalties, because I think Gundogan is going to score the winner.
David James,
as he normally does.
David James and his predictions, they've been known to get a few right. Let's hope that you're right. Pleasure to be joining you pitch side. Let's head over to the man. You might be able to see him in the background. He's in a lovely spot. It's our man, Kel.
Thanks, FG. Great to see David James there. Now, we have not got long until we team news. Now, before I get some maybe who we think will start here from Alex and Steve, I believe Nat is in Box Park, and she's joined by a very special guest in the form of Manchester icon and boxing legend, Mr. Ricky Hatton.
So the atmosphere is well and truly building here in Box Park, and I've only got it found, Ricky Hitman Hatton. Ricky, how are you feeling, love?
Brilliant. A little bit nervous, but I guess it's to be expected. FA Cup final, first FA Cup final between City and United. nervous. I'm not going to lie to you, I'm nervous. I'm confident. I couldn't be any more confident. But you know yourself, Manchester derbies. Last time we played us, they beat us. They beat us in the Charity Shield. So I don't think it's a foregone conclusion. But you'd be a fool to not put your last pound on City today. You know, we're flying.
I actually feel quite calm and quite confident today, but I think that's because I think about Erling Haaland and Kevin De Bruyne and the world-class talent that we've got, because our team is just superior.
Well, you know, just at the end of the day, if we play our best, it's not even a contest. It's just we're in a Manchester derby, FA Cup final, Manchester derby. You've got to be nervous, but I mean, when you look at, you know, when we played Real Madrid in the semi-final of the Champions League at the Etihad, if that team turns up, it could be 20-0 today. I'm telling you.
I love that. I had some little kids say 10, but that's the best we've had.
Simple, you know it is.
So what sort of day are you going to have today? Are you with a group of friends? Are you enjoying the day?
Yeah, with a group of friends and everything like that. We're going to Istanbul next week and that, you know. It's a great time to be a Manchester City fan. Because like I said on the stage, we've been through some really bad times. And to see days like this, Istanbul next week, Champions League final, I never in my lifetime did I think I'd see it. So, living the dream, aren't we?
Rick, to hear you say you're in the FA Cup final, the Manchester derby, and a week later, the Champions League final in Istanbul. If you'd have told us that when we were younger, you just wouldn't have believed it, would you?
Absolutely. I remember still getting a pound day saver from Hattersley to Manchester to the Cunning Mile to Main Road. We get beat 2-1 by Grimsby. He's shucking it down in rain. I get all the way back for nothing. And when you see days like this now, and you know what, no one deserves it more than us. But even in the bad times, we were there. Main Road was packed, even through the bad times. And if anyone deserves it, it's our fans.
Ricky, thank you very much. I'll let you go because it's so loud in here now. Have a great day and have a great day in Istanbul. Thank you. The pie is well and truly on here in Box Park.
Nat, let me tell you, it's looking great in that box park there. She was alongside Ricky Hatton. I'm alongside club legends of Alex Williams and Steve Howie. I've got 4 minutes until I bring you team news. Just thinking about potential starters. And Alex, I'm going to come to you because one I think I can confirm. It was confirmed by the man himself. Ortega starts in goal. As we know, this has been his competition. And actually, I think for his first season, when we've seen him play, brilliant shot stopper. What have you made of his season so far, Alex?
He's done brilliant, you know, to come into this City team. I mean, to be fair, it's probably one of the easier teams to come into, but you've still got to go out and do a job, and he's been part of, you know, the clean sheets around the FA Cup, so good luck to him. Pep stayed true to selecting him for the FA Cup game, so well done to Pep and well done to Ortega. I don't think he'll let anyone down.
It's always difficult, isn't it, you know, I guess being number two, and he came in knowing he was number two. Is that why when you have these competitions that you have to stay true to make sure that you kind of keep some balance?
Yes, you do, but I don't really see it as a number two these days because the squad rotation now, we play so many games, Manchester City, you know, Carabao Cup games, FA Cup games, Champions League games, the Premier League games. You do need a strong squad, and it's really a rotational system. So yes, technically he is number two, but he's going to get quite a lot of games.
Absolutely. Another man who I'm thinking will start, given that he is our club captain, and gosh, how key has he been in the last couple of months? Bar any injuries, hopefully Ilkay Gundogan, and again, instrumental into particularly these last 2 months of form.
Yeah, I mean, as you said, the last couple of months, his form, he's been driving the team on, he's been getting vital goals, and he's been leading by example. I think players do look at him as a huge leader. So I think to have somebody like him on the pitch will be a huge boost. As I said, his form, when I've watched him all through this season, he's just got better and better and better to the point where he's at a standard now where you're just thinking, wow, you know, this is the top. When you look at players and you look at the standards, he's just kind of getting better and better. And I just think, can you go any further? Yeah. And yet he is. So if he plays today, I mean, that's a huge boost for the team. Not so much Manchester United, but
Manchester City.
Unlucky.
And Alex, quick one, because it kind of feels as well, you mentioned squad rotation, feels like at this moment in time it doesn't matter who starts, because whoever does step up and play knows the role, knows the position, and does it to an unbelievable standard.
Yeah, really drills it into them in training. They all know, we've almost got 2 players for every position on the field, so when somebody gets put in ahead of somebody, it doesn't really matter because they know the system, they know what the role is, and they just go out and do it.
Yeah, absolutely right. Let me remind you there, if you want to get exclusive commentary, that is on the official Manchester City app, of course. That's where you can get City Plus and Recast, and you might have seen a little WhatsApp number popping up on your screen. If you have, that is how you can let us know your comments throughout the show. It's jam-packed. I will try to get some questions, but we just love to hear from you anyway, so please do get involved. Now, FG has been around the ground, Nat has been at Box Park, we have been here live at the stadium, and I can now bring you the Manchester City team news. This is our starting 11. It is a big one because, as we know, this is the first time we've met Manchester United in a final, and there it is. This is the team chosen by Pep Guardiola. Stefan Ortega, as confirmed by Pep yesterday in his press conference, starts in the team. Kyle Walker at right back. John Stones partners Ruben Diaz at centre-half. Manuel Akanji comes in at left-back. We move into midfield. Rodri Holding alongside Ilkay Gundogan, who captains the side, and Kevin De Bruyne, and then a forward 3 of Jack Grealish, Bernardo Silva, and that man, Haaland. Right, that is the starting 11. Nat, what are your thoughts? Let us know how they're feeling with the fans in Box Park.
Well, we have been partying all afternoon here at Box Park, but now it is time for the all-important starting 11. Danny, over to you.
Right, OK, Box Park, are you ready to hear the team news? This is the Manchester City lineup for today's game. In goal, Stefan Ortega. A back 4 of Kyle Walker, John Stones, Ruben Diaz, and Manu Akanji. In front of them now, midfield, the one and only Rodri, with Gundo and Kevin De Bruyne. And the unbelievable front 3 of Bernardo Silva, Jack Grealish, and the striking Viking, Erling Haaland.
That is the Manchester City starting 11. Now, Box Park, do you want to hear the Manchester United 11? No, we don't. Back to you, Cal.
Thanks, Nat, and great to hear the Manchester City fans in fine voice. I know they're going to be in an even finer voice, those who are lucky enough to be here in the stadium. Steve, first impressions, though, at seeing that starting 11?
Impressive, strong. We've mentioned, I mentioned Ake, so obviously I would have liked him to see him to play, but at the same time, Akanji's been absolutely flawless as well this season. I mean, you've got a player who scored a hat-trick in the semi-final, he can't get in the team. So it just goes to show how strong it is. But it's a team that you look at and you just think, if they turn up, genuinely, I just don't think there's anything here for Manchester United. But it's obviously they'll have to turn up on the day, but full of absolute fantastic talent that could, on any given day, destroy any team. So looking forward to to see how the boys get on, and looking forward as well, because although I do go to the games and you see them close up, obviously in this kind of arena for me it's going to be something completely different, and I just can't wait to see how really good they are properly live, because I'm going to be even closer to them than normal.
Yeah, absolutely. Alex, when I think of that game at Old Trafford, which sadly didn't go our way, there were 2 players that didn't actually start in that game that started today, John Stones and Kyle Walker. Speaking of the latter, I'm assuming probably Rashford will start. His pace is key, isn't it, when we come against them fast teams and particularly counter-attacking teams?
Yeah, I mean, it's not just Kyle Walker's pace, it's his power as well. People forget that. He's one of the quickest, if not the quickest player we've got at the football club. He's powerful. So Pep's probably had a look at the United team and felt he was the best fit for it. Interestingly, he's probably got one eye on next weekend as well, the likes of Foden being rested, Ederson, Mahrez. So I think he's just got the balance absolutely perfect. And to be fair, as Steve said, it doesn't matter what team we put out today. If they play well, we're going to be a match for anybody.
We've spoke about Gundogan and Kevin De Bruyne. Need we say any more? We're looking to the forward side of the pitch, the big man up front, but Bernardo Silva and Jack Grealish, what do you think he's gone for there? Well, we know Jack's had a great season, but having Bernardo on the right, Steve?
Well, he's just gone for brilliance. Yeah. Because that's what he is. He's brilliant. I mean, for a little guy, and he is tiny, he covers so much ground, he's aggressive, he digs in. I mean, his skill is scarily good. You know, as I said, we've all seen players over the years that's got good skills and can keep the ball and stuff like that. It really takes my breath away how good he is. Yeah. So, yeah, basically, he's gone for, what should I pick? Should I pick somebody that's absolutely excellent player, or should I just go for brilliance? I'll tell you what, I'll go for brilliance.
It would be nice as well, as we know he scored a hat-trick, Erling Haaland, in the fixture at the Etihad Stadium. We know he'll be hoping to do the same today, but he relishes these big games in the big stage as well.
He does. He doesn't need to prove to anybody how good he is. He needs to prove, or he wants to show himself how good he is. And for some reason, I think coming against Man United, he doesn't need any extra chatting to or, build him up. He'll be raring to go from the first whistle.
Absolutely. Steve?
As well, with Erling, he knows this history between the Haaland family and Manchester United. We don't have to go into details, but we all know what it is. And he'll be looking and thinking, I want to do some damage to Manchester United, but in a way of putting the ball in the back of the net.
Yeah, absolutely. And Alex, we spoke about, the squad depth. Should we need it, you look to that bench, and all of our players are on there. It's a fully fit squad. Ederson, Phillips, Nathan Ake, Laporte, Alvarez, Mahrez, Foden, Palmer and Lewis. So much quality that could come on and make a difference should we need it.
I was just saying to Steve, no disrespect to any other clubs, not just Premier League, any club anywhere in the world. Those players who are on the bench would get in most teams.
Yes.
It's absolutely frightening. And I do think Pep will change it and bring quite a few of them on towards the end of the game, but subject to how the game's going, whether it does it earlier rather than later.
And I guess that's important as well, not that we're thinking about it, because of course we know Manchester City focus on the game in front of them, but you want to keep that rhythm in all the players' legs with Istanbul next weekend, Steve.
Yeah, I mean, the manager will be looking at the game, and I mean, obviously he'll hope that the lads can get off to a good start, and then he can kind of settle things down and then make the changes that he wants to make sure everybody gets this experience. Because as Alex said, which is absolutely spot on, not everybody gets to play here, let alone play in an FA Cup final. So he'll want to give the lads that he knows has worked so hard for him this season, that experience, to still feel as though they're kind of part of it. But also looking at next week as well, because he wants everybody. The ideal situation, come off here with a nice win, you're picking up the trophy, everybody's fit and everybody's raring to go for next week.
Absolutely. Love that, gents. Right, let's pause here. Let's head back to Nat Box Park. She's been with the City fans. That is our City fan zone. And I can now say that she's joined by another famous Manchester City fan in the form of Jason Manford.
So he's just been on stage in Box Park. I've grabbed him to talk to us. It is Jason Manford. Jason, you just had the whole of this place singing.
We had to go for it. You know what I mean? We're all exuberant. It's a party atmosphere. It's a winning atmosphere. We've not even kicked off for 2 hours.
Oh, what a weekend as well. You, by the way, what a weekend for you. You
been a busy one.
Britain's Got Talent. Britain's Got Talent last night.
Britain's Got Talent last night. Yeah. I didn't win. I didn't even get the golden buzzer. Yeah, we were doing a little snippet from Wizard of Oz that we're doing at the Palladium this summer. So we did that last night, and then straight here today. So an adrenaline-fueled weekend.
My goodness, I bet it is.
Yeah.
So ahead of the game today, how are the nerves?
And the nerves are fine because it's City and it's Pep and it's the team. But it is a derby, and they have to win to stop us getting that treble. Because if we take that off them, what have they got?
But they've already started though, haven't you heard them? They're now telling me, well, we're the first ones to do a treble.
Well,
no one cares about the
nothing we can do about that.
Yeah.
Till Pep invents a time machine, which he probably could, to be honest.
I would love to go in Pep's time machine back then and must be like watching, waiting for the day when we do it.
But win everything.
Is it going to be even more special if we win it today to have done it against them?
I think so. An FA Cup final special against anybody, but against your biggest rivals, that's really special.
Especially for lifelong Blues, because obviously your whole family, lifelong Blues.
Yeah.
was brilliant, by the way.
Brilliant,
yeah.
You know, but to be here in an FA Cup final is special.
So, how's the game going to go, do you think? Give us your game prediction.
I think a cagey 20 minutes. Cagey 20. They'll come at us a bit, and then once we get one goal, game over. 3-1.
3-1? Oh my goodness. Could it be an Erling Haaland hat-trick again?
Oh, what a dream. What a dream.
I'd love that, to watch him with the match ball and then see him lifting a trophy.
That'd be great.
We're blessed. We're blessed.
We are.
Best of luck with everything you're doing this
Cheers.
summer. Thank you for going to Jason Mann for joining us in the party in Box Park.
Nat there with Jason Manford in the Manchester City fan park, and here are today's opposition arriving at Wembley Stadium, and their team looks like this. Golden Glove winner David De Gea in goal, Wan-Bissaka, Lindelof, Varane and Luke Shaw. Then we move into midfield consisting of Fred, Casemiro, Fernandes, and then a forward three of Eriksen, Sancho and Rashford, the substitutes there as well. Quite interesting as well. This is their first FA Cup final since losing the 2018 against Chelsea, and there's only 4 players that remain at the club from that squad, so a lot of change with a new manager. I'm just going to bring in Steve Howie and Alex Williams. We've just seen the United team arrive there. They're a whole new look now under Erik ten Hag. What are some of their key strengths, and where should we be looking at maybe their threat is going to be from today, Steve?
Well, if you look at the team, I think for me, Casemiro is always dangerous from set plays. Actually, he's not the biggest, but he wins some headers and he scores some goals. Obviously, Rashford had a vein of form in the season where he just couldn't stop scoring. But I mean, the defence has kind of changed a little bit. I watched them against Fulham the other week. Obviously, Maguire was playing, but you know, he's brought in Lindelof, obviously Varane, you've got Shaw. So there's been changes, a lot of changes from the last game to this one. Now, as I said, listen, I'll be brutally honest, I think it's a good team.
Yeah.
But I can't see it competing with Man City. I really can't. But I mean, maybe people might just think, oh, well, it's because I'm like ex-Man City and stuff like that. I'm looking at it from a player's point of view as well, a footballer's point of view. And yeah, they've got players, but and they can hurt you, given the circumstances. At times, I mean, of course, any team can. But I just don't think there's enough there to beat City.
Looking at their defence as well, they've got the job of trying to keep Bernardo Silva, Kevin De Bruyne, Jack Grealish and Erling Haaland quiet. When you see there Wan-Bissaka, Shaw, Varane and Lindelof, what were you thinking there? I mean, they're going to have their work cut out, Alex.
I do. I think they'll have the work cut out, but to be fair, you know, I think it's quite a strong team. But, you know, as Stevie said, if we play well, I do think they've got a strong midfield.
Yeah.
You know, interestingly, he's playing Fred today, which I wasn't sure he would. But when he plays against us, I think his style of play suits playing against us. So, you know, I don't expect them to cause us any problems, but it will be a tough game. They've gone strong. But if we play as well as we know we can do, fingers crossed, we shouldn't have a problem.
I want to mention as well, it's a name that kind of City fans will know because, of course, he came through our academy. Jadon Sancho struggled this season, but I think Anthony might have picked up a knock. So it's a big game for him today.
It is, and it could be a really important game for him to prove himself. I think, you know, they paid a lot of money for him. There's been a lot of expectation for him. And I personally think he's got more to come. I just hope it isn't today. You know, I'll settle for it being next season. He's got great potential, but I personally don't think he's quite reached his true potential and showing us how good he can be.
Yeah, I mean, well, hopefully that he won't do that today. Looking at the managers as well, I mean, Pep's even said he's sure that Ten Hag will have some surprises and it might take 5 to 10 minutes to work that out. There is a whole other game that happens, isn't it? The tactics side of the game from the managers, and it's going to be fascinating to see how both managers approach and maybe how they put out their teams.
Well, yeah, I mean, you could look at the team sheet, but then you've got an idea who's going to play where. But managers sometimes have some surprising little added either bonuses, if you want, and then the other manager sits there and goes, well, I didn't expect that. And of course that goes on, but I think we've got a fair idea which way sort of teams will turn up and how they will have their formation. Like I said, on a match-up, it will be a difficult game, but at the same time, and I'm not getting sick of saying this, I just can't see anything apart from a City win, because as I said, I watched Manchester City against Fulham. I thought Manchester United, I thought they did okay. They should have been 2-0 down if it wasn't for David De Gea with a penalty save against Mitrovic, and they did enough to win the game. if they have a performance like that today, that enough won't win them the game.
Yeah, the only other thing as well to mention is the counter-attack. Sometimes that would, if you say there is only a tiny weakness, and this season it's, I can stress tiny, that they have got pace, and I guess that's one thing that City will have to be wary of, on that quick kind of turnover and them getting in behind.
Yeah, but I think that's one of the reasons Pep's brought in Kyle Walker, because with his pace, we saw it against Real Madrid, he was unbelievable, and I think Pep sort of thought, well, if there is a weakness, that's going to be it. Let's ensure, we can get that covered. So, he thinks of everything, Pep. He's unbelievable. And he thinks of things before we even do, so...
We're in good hands.
Yeah.
If you've just tuned in, you can see there, behind us, the goalkeepers are warming up. We've got Edison is out there as well with Richard Wright, Scott Carson and Stefan Ortega, who is starting today. He, of course, has played in all the competitions, kept all those clean sheets as well, which has been so brilliant. I'll just recap Manchester City's team for you if you haven't had a chance to look at it net. So that man starts in net, Stefan Ortega, a back four of Walker, Stones, Diaz and Akanji, Rodri, De Bruyne and Gundogan in the middle, and Bernardo, Grealish and Haaland next. Over on our bench as well, Edison, Phillips, Ake, Laporte, Alvarez, Mahrez, Foden, Palmer and Rico Lewis. Wanted to just have a little word on Jack Grealish. We mentioned Bernardo before, Alex, but this season he's really come into his own, and I actually was watching some of the games from the FA Cup this season. He's been unplayable at times on that left-hand side and been so key to our success.
He is. He's always been a very good player, and I think he had a bit of a lull when he sort of quite recently after he joined us, but Pep's turned him around, as he has, to be fair, with John Stones as well. And it's really come to the fore, Jack Grealish, and he's looking a world-class player now.
Looking world-class, and I tell you another world-class player who I'm sure that Fred or Casemiro or even Bruno won't want to be coming out shoulder to shoulder with, Kevin De Bruyne. We're going to hope that he steps up today, Steve.
Yeah, obviously we spoke about him earlier on in the show, and these are the occasions when you want your top players to stand up. We've seen on lots of occasions that has been the case with Kevin, and yeah, of course the Man United fans will be looking at this thinking they know the strength of these players that they're playing against. Sometimes you can practice and you can train as much as you want. Sometimes you just can't do anything about it. Sometimes you just got to put your hands up and go, yeah, on the day he was better than me. But he's built for these games. This is what he's good at. He might be a little bit quiet, then all of a sudden a bit of brilliance unlocks the defence, or he sticks one in the top corner himself.
Brilliant. Thank you, gents. Right, let's go back to the fan park. Nat is there and she's joined by another guest. It's non-stop on today's show.
Everybody who's anyone of Manchester City has been at Box Park today, and I've managed to find one of our MatchDay Live regulars. It's Dakota the Chamber. Good afternoon, how are you?
I'm really good, thank you. I'm excited.
My voice feels like it's starting to go, We've been having one party down here in Box Park. Have you had a good time?
It's been so good, yeah. It's been so good. Everyone's just on such good energy today, so it's been nice to come down and witness it.
Now, we heard the team news. Stefan Ortega does start in goal.
Yeah.
But apart from that, it's the rest of the team that played Real Madrid. Are you happy about that?
Yeah, do you know, I am really happy. I didn't know whether they were going to play Foden or Grealish on the side, but yeah, I'm really happy with the team, and I think we've got a strong one out today.
Who do you think is going to be the star man today? Who's going to be the match winner?
Kevin De Bruyne, big favourite of mine. I think every time he shows up, but I want Haaland to get on the score sheet again today, because he's had a few games where he's not made it, but I'm hoping today he can do it against United.
I fancy him for a hat-trick, Haaland hat-trick at Wembley against United sounds pretty good.
That would sound perfect, imagine.
Are you going to be watching? Are you watching the game as a fan and then celebrating if all goes well?
Yeah, I'm gonna watch it, and then I'll definitely be celebrating, but I'll probably come back with the blues and just celebrate with all the crowd, because I much prefer to be singing.
How have the nerves been all day? Has it been building up, or are you all right?
I think all week I've been really nervous. I feel like sometimes I get more nervous for derbies than I do my own fights, but I'm excited now. I do feel really nervous, but I'm excited now. I'm here and ready to go. Now the lineup's come out.
Well, have you got any tips then? Before a fight, what do you do to calm yourself?
I mean, they've just got to have faith in themselves, haven't they? They just need to treat Wembley like the Etihad Stadium, because we're unbeatable there. We play so well, so they just need to go out and do that today.
Love that, yes. Treat it like the Etihad. When of course it is the Etihad, Sal. Right, we are going to go now. Box Park has been, well, it's been 4 hours of partying and fun, but we're going to run into Wembley now. Dakota, thank you so much, and best of luck with your fight coming up in September. We know that. We'll be keeping an eye on it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Box Park. What a day it's been.
Gosh, it's looked great there all afternoon, and it is looking great here inside Wembley Stadium. Cel Spellman with you on Matchday Live. We're bringing you all the build-up to this historic FA Cup final. The first time it has been a Manchester derby, and I think it would be rude if we didn't hear from the other side of Manchester. So FG has been catching up with some United fans outside of the ground.
Hello, welcome back to Wembley. Now, this is a bit of a surreal moment because I'm joined, you might recognise this man, it's a familiar face, a FIFA content creator, Chew Boy, who's travelled 3,552 miles to be here, all the way from Canada. He is representing the red side, so we're going to get some thoughts from him. Chew, talk to me about the game. What are you expecting from Manchester United today?
I mean, I'm nervous because, of course, City's coming in with some great form, absolutely dominant form, but you know what? I came all this way to not see United lose, so I'm going to be the good luck charm, I think.
Well, we hope, and I think everyone watching at home hopes, you're not going to be the good luck charm. Let's talk about this City side, and let's talk about, obviously, you've watched Manchester United through the glory years, shall we say.
Yeah.
How good is this City side? And then is there even a comparison you can make with how good they are compared to, for example, the side from '99?
I mean, look, I've been watching the Premier League since it started in '92. I don't want to give up my age because Faraz will absolutely roast me. But, you know, that '99 team, I was about 12, 13 when that happened. And, you know, football's come so far since, you know, in terms of, like, training, science. So it's hard to compare the two teams back then and now. But I will say they'll definitely give that '99 team a run for their money because I don't think anybody, maybe only Jaap Stam could stop Erling Haaland. That's about it because everybody else would get destroyed.
And there's a lot of talk, of course, of the treble. They're 2 games away from potentially doing it. Is that extra motivation, especially from a Manchester United standpoint, or is it just a case of another final and we want to get the job done?
I mean, we do have a cup already in our bag, but that treble stopping mentality has to be the driving factor today. We want to protect our history. I mean, that's my favorite moment in United history. My favorite match of all time, to be honest with you, was United versus Arsenal FA Cup '99 on the way to that treble winning final in, I think it was against Newcastle, 2-0. So that is just going to be that extra impetus to beat you guys. And, you know, we just have that on our side. We have history on our side, FG. We have history. And that's what's going to be the difference here, is that history and that pride.
Now, speaking of history, let's talk about the game at the Etihad, where Phil Foden and Erling Haaland both scored hat-tricks.
I don't
we
remember
scored
that.
6 against you.
What was that?
Give me your score predictions for the game today.
Honestly, this is going to be the most precise score prediction ever. Look at this. We're going to go in the lead. Casemiro, header off a set piece, 1-0. Annoyingly, because, you know, I just don't like his haircut. I like him as a person, but Jack Grealish, that haircut, man, you got to switch it up. But he's going to score against us because I just know he's going to get in the United players' hands. He's very good at, I think, you know, the mental games, in my opinion.
He's also very good on the pitch.
He's very good on the pitch, I have to admit. He's going to equalize, probably like a cross from Bernardo Silva or something like that. And then United is going to win on penalties.
Right, so as you can see, Chew Boy is jet lagged, so we will we'll call it there. Thank you for joining us on Matchday Live, and we'll see you guys soon.
Thanks, FG. So we can see this is the pictures from inside the stadium of the United team coming to the pitch to warm up. We touched upon it before, Steve, but I want to kind of focus first of all on that man there. You mentioned before he was in some unbelievable form in the middle of the season. He is going to be key to Manchester United if they want to do anything, but key for us is going to be Diaz and Stones in stopping him.
Yeah, I mean, listen, without a doubt, he's a threat. You know, we all know he's a very, very good player. On his day, he is unstoppable for some defences. But, you know, I think Alan mentioned something as well. If Stones and Diaz, they go for a set player, 9 times out of 10, Rashford doesn't really bother coming back. He'll just stay up and they will try and catch them on the counter-attack. But when you've got somebody like Kyle Walker there, you know, Kyle Walker, even though he's a lot younger than Rashford's not beating him for pace. I still haven't seen anybody actually beat Kyle Walker for pace, if I'm being honest, in years. So, yeah, there's always Kyle's always going to be able to catch up with him speed-wise. But yeah, of course, Stones and Diaz, just in general play, are going to have to be switched on because he's a threat, there's no doubt about it.
Playmakers as well. We've got some of our own, they've got some of theirs. Bruno Fernandes and, of course, Christian Eriksen. They're tough to stop. I wonder, though, Alex, we saw in the Madrid game, you had someone like Modric, who obviously Ballon d'Or winner, but slightly slower pace than maybe how quick our team are. I think Eriksen might struggle with the pace of the game slightly, you know, only given that he's obviously a little bit older now.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be difficult for him today. It's a big pitch, it's a warm day, you know, and I think the longer the game goes on, we'll get stronger and potentially he might fall off a little bit. But, you know, you've got to respect the good players. If we just go out and do our job, though, you know, close people down, you know, shut the space down, don't give the ball away, which, to be fair, we're different class at.
Yeah.
Hopefully he won't get the opportunity to hurt us.
We had as well, Steve, I think we just saw some pictures of him there. He's not starting, but, you know, Harry Maguire, tough season for him. I mean, it's got to be difficult because he kind of is technically still a club captain, but it just hasn't kind of worked for him under Ten Hag.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a good feeling to be on the end of that. I mean, obviously he's brought back Shaw, brought in Lindelof, obviously Wan-Bissaka's come in. I mean, he played last week, as I said, I was at the game, I didn't think he did too badly, but it looks as though his time's up at the club. Yeah. I'd be very surprised if he's still there come the start of next season. This will be disappointing. His family will be down here, and there's always somebody that misses out.
Yeah.
You know, you can't all play. But given the fact of, you know, he's played in semi-finals for England, you know, the World Cup and all this kind of thing, and he can't get in his club team. And he hasn't been able to get into his club team, yet he has been still getting picked for England and done OK for England.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a bit of pill to swallow, but I think his future lies elsewhere.
Let's then turn our attention to the boys in blue, because if you did hear, there was a loud cheer wrapped with boos, because obviously you can imagine being in the United and that's slightly louder, but the boys in blue have just taken to the pitch. Over to my right-hand side there now are warming up. The City end is warming up. Let's begin with this man again, Alex. He looks up for it today, doesn't he?
He does. I mean, at the corner of my eye when everybody started jeering, I saw him running out the dugout and he just looks ready. You know, without even warming up, he just looks on it. And I think you're going to see something sensational today from him.
Oh, Alex, I love that. Then as well, of course, we're looking to mention their midfield, but Rodri, De Bruyne and Gundogan, they're going to relish, I think, aren't they, of course, playing on this big pitch with the players they have around them as well. I've got to say, Steve, I'm biased. I compare our three to their three, as Alex says and you've said. There's no comparison, really.
I'm not picking any. You know, I mean, do you know what? I like Rashford. I think Rashford's a good player. I think Fernandes is a good player. I think Casemiro's a good player. But I cannot see them getting into the Man City team with the players that Man City have. And that's not being biased. That's me looking at it from a footballer, an ex-footballer looking in, or even a fan looking in. I'm not trying to be disrespectful to Manchester United, but, you know, the players that you'd mentioned, you know, Silva, Gundogan, De Bruyne, these are the games. I mean, obviously, your bread and butter is your Premier League.
Yes.
But these are the games that you love to play. And as a kid, growing up, you go, oh my, you know, what I wouldn't give to play in an FA Cup final at Wembley. Now they've got the opportunity.
Yeah.
You know, and this occasion, it might not come around ever again for one or two of these players. You've got to grasp it with both hands.
I dare say the T word, but of course we know that's something that is on the cards. As if United needed any extra motivation, they've got it in that they're going to try and stop us from doing that. Do we have to be a little bit worried about that, Alex?
Well, first and foremost, they shouldn't really have that in their equation because they should be wanting to win the game anyway.
Yes.
But it is an added bonus for United to try and stop us potentially winning all three trophies. I think today our lads will just be focusing on this game. You know, a lot of people have said to me of the two, potentially, this could be the hardest one to win, but I don't think we'll look at it like that. We'll just be focusing on this game, trying to win it, and then we'll look at next week.
We mentioned it before. Those who have just tuned in will see that Stefan Ortega's starting, Alex. For me, he's been brilliant when he's played in, and would you agree we're in safe hands with him starting?
Well, you've got to say that, but having said that, you know, it's his first big game at Wembley, so you don't know how he's going to perform. Hopefully, you know, he's got the experience to take it as another game, which hopefully he will do. But as we said earlier, you know, just getting out on this field, the experience he will gain from today will be brilliant. The icing on the cake is the team wins.
Yeah, fingers crossed. John Stones, a revelation this season, Steve. What have you made of his season so far, and how key has he been in, particularly us turning around that little bit of form where we were in a bit of a low patch, so to speak?
Yeah, but he's come so good. Again, I mean, he's gone into that area as well in the midfield. Looks so comfortable as well in that position. You know, getting the ball, setting things up, but also when he's been on the back foot defensively, he's been absolutely superb. And it just goes to show how well the fans think he's doing as well because of the songs and stuff like that. We've seen how he's reacted to that by sort of saying it's really kind of affected him, but affected him in a good way because it's like he's starting to feel the love. And he said it's reciprocated and that. And there's nothing better to have a relationship like that with your fans because he's been outstanding. The fans have recognised this. They've seen how good he has, and that's hard work by him, and obviously sort of sitting down and kind of having a word with himself. And it's come back, and it's been absolutely fantastic for him. And again, it's a great stage for him to show how good and how amazing he has been and progressed since he came.
Couldn't agree more. Alongside Ruben Diaz, and I think people forget there was, particularly in that little grey patch, he was out injured. He's come back in and solidified that defence, almost reminiscent of his debut season. He's a rock at the back, isn't he, Alex?
You used the exact word I was going to use. He's an absolute rock, you know. He's so tall, strong, you know, and he's so good looking as well. I know he's one of the favourites with all the girls. But listen, he's a great player, that's first and foremost, and long may it continue.
Of course, as well, he's a player that conducts himself to the absolute best. I think even Pep said it, that he has no worries about starting a player like Diaz because of the work he does off the pitch. And I guess for young players, Steve, particularly with how busy, you know, the season can be, the work they do off the pitch is just as important as what they do on the pitch.
Well, yeah, because if you don't do that work off the pitch, you can't do it on it. You can't just switch it on and off. It doesn't work like that. You might get away with it the odd game, but not in a Premier League season, not the intensity in these kind of games. It's just impossible. So if you don't put the graft in, you don't put the work in, it does not work on there. You get found out.
Yeah.
So it just goes to show how much hard work they all put in.
Alex, looking at the bench, if say it is looking pretty tense, you know, it's very, very tight. In your opinion, who would be players you'd be looking to turn to? Remember Riyad Mahrez, hat-trick in the semi-final, possibly.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember he scored a hat-trick semi-final. He gets left out the next game. I mean, he'll relish coming on the field because he's got such great memories of playing here last time round. But, you know, you look at the rest of the players as well. There's so many good players you could bring on to change the game. I think Pep will be reluctant just to change them for the sake of changing it. I think he's hoping we can try and get a couple of early goals. And as we said earlier, potentially rest one or two of them with next week in mind.
Phil Foden as well, we heard from him earlier on in the show. I think for us City fans as well, knowing that we've actually got Manchester City fans playing for City, if he does get on the pitch, and we know he's been in some great form in this competition, 3 goals, 2 assists, you would like to think he'd put the ball in the back of the net or maybe assist another City fan in Erling Haaland.
Well, you wouldn't doubt against him, would you? I mean, it's actually such a shame that you've got such a great player that we're not going to watch. But because it's the team that's so amazingly good. You know, you've got a talent there which I could watch all day and all night because he's that good. I mean, what he's achieved in such a young career, and just a short career, is phenomenal. And of course, he could add to his collection today, but I would like to see him play some part today. Let's hope it's in a kind of a situation he's coming on where it's just to see the game out because they're comfortably ahead.
Lads, you've both played in Manchester derbies. What is the atmosphere like in the build-up to it? Obviously, it's a final, but I guess there's always an extra edge. There's that extra feeling in the air, given that it is against United, Alex.
Yeah, there is. I mean, you do have to take it as another game, but if all the games this season you want to win, it's going to be this one. You know, we've done quite well against this season, especially at the Etihad, and I just hope we can get the job done today. The excitement and the atmosphere is going to be absolutely unbelievable, and I think it will help our players more so because we've been there, done it, and they'll be used to it.
And in the dressing room, I mean, I guess it might depend on the team, but is it kind of all, you know, a rallying cry, or do you think it is calm? Is it a calmer atmosphere in there? How could it possibly be in that City changing room before they come out, Steve?
Again, you've got a dressing room full of individuals. Some like to sort of be nice and calm and just put the music on. Obviously, after a certain time, take the music off, and it's game time. It's like, get your game face on. There's lads that will eventually get everybody together. And I've seen a few times it's been different individuals that's been given a rousing team talk, which is brilliant.
Yeah.
Because it means as though they've got a lot of captains in there, if you know what I mean. So yeah, once you get that You do your bit. You do what you need to do out here. You'll get back in the dressing room. You are now fully focused. You're switched on. Put your boot. Make sure your laces are all done. You've got your shin pads on. You're ready. And one of the big lads will be sort of saying, right, lads, come together. They'll say something. Let's go. Walk out the tunnel, let's get it done.
Oh, I tell you what, you should get you in that changing room after that. Not long before I get predictions from our guests, but let me just remind you as well, we heard from them early on in the show. Alistair Mann will have your commentary. He is alongside Michael Brown. If you want to listen to that, that will be on the official Manchester City app. That's where, of course, as well, you can get City Plus and Recast. This show has been jam-packed. We've had Nat in the fan park, guests like Jason Manford, Ricky Hatton. We've also had FG around the ground who's been doing some brilliant stuff, and you've probably noticed the noise just picking up now because, well, Wembley is filling around us, the tunes are playing, and the City end is slowly but surely being painted blue. It's so exciting, and we hope you've enjoyed with us on Matchday Live. Now, don't forget as well, we will be back at full time, hopefully celebrating a second title this season. Speaking of which, let's now get predictions from today's guests. So, Alex, I'm going to come to you first. How are you thinking this will go?
I think we'll have a lot of possession and we'll control the game, but score-wise, I think it'll be tight. So, I think 2-0, 2-1 to Man City. 2-0, 2-1 from Mr. Alex Williams. And Steve, how about yourself?
Well, City haven't conceded in this competition, so I would like them to continue that. I'll take 2-0. 2-0, right, we heard it here first. Gents, it's been an absolute pleasure and a privilege. Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Steve. Remember, I'll be back with you at full time. But just to up the ante a little bit more and get you even more excited for this historic fixture, here is how we made it to this final at Wembley. This was Manchester City's road to Wembley in this year's FA Cup. Thanks for watching. I'll see you at full time.
City fans, book your trips for Wembley. They're back here again in June. There was a very big obstacle standing in the way, and they're called Chelsea. Hits it on target, into the back of the net, and that is a quite sensational free kick. Talk about mind games. Kepa is right in front of Julian Alvarez. The two of them are speaking to each other in Spanish. So Julian Alvarez has the chance from the penalty spot to give City a 2-0 lead. He runs up to the ball and fires it into the corner of the net. It is City 2, it is Chelsea 0. Gomez gets beyond the challenge, gets it back from Rodri, and then just gets the better of Jorginho, pops it out wide to Cole Palmer. Palmer in field to Rodri. Rodri changes the angle over to Mahrez, wide on the right-hand side. Mahrez now attacking Hall. In it goes to Walker, and turned in by Phil Foden. It is an absolutely wonderfully worked goal from City. It really was. Alvarez scored the first half penalty. Mahrez scores the second half penalty, and his fantastic record against Chelsea continues.
Manchester City hope to continue on the road to Wembley this evening when they host Arsenal in the FA Cup fourth round. Trossard, the new signing from Brighton, has already made his debut, the Belgian. Has to go inside. Stones to ground, it's come back out here for a strike, and it's parried for Ortega. So trying to find Partey, instead it's come over to Trossard. Trossard left-footed strike, another save from Ortega. He's behind him looking for the ball here, and goes for goal, it's off the post, it comes to Grealish. Doesn't shoot first time, he's still got the defender Tomiyasu in front of him. It's back to Ake, Ake goes for goal! Nathan Ake has scored for Manchester City with a low strike inside the right post. City go marching on their road to Wembley. Manchester City's FA Cup campaign moves on to the southwest today for a fifth round meeting with Championship side Bristol City. It's the 1-2, gets the ball back from Kevin De Bruyne, early cross from him to the back post, and that's the opening goal for Manchester City. Phil Foden finishes off the team move. Towards Ake. Ake cuts it back, maybe could have gone for a finish of his own. Instead of there for a low drive, it's the second goal, this time from the right-hand side from Phil Foden. Look for a third goal, and they find it through Kevin De Bruyne. A well-placed strike from the Belgian.
It is a meeting of the top scorers in the Premier League against the top scorers in the Championship. Now Haaland's into a gap, and Haaland scores! Out of very, very little, all of a sudden, Haaland gets a one-on-one, pokes it under the body, the advancing goalkeeper, and City lead. 2-0, Erling Haaland again, Foden round the outside, slipped it through, and there he was, once again, goal number 41. Mahrez comes in field, Haaland with a layoff back to Mahrez, Mahrez into the gap, Foden! Scores, no, he's in the post. Oh, and you know who, he's got another City hat-trick. On it goes to Mahrez, lovely play, De Bruyne around the back, De Bruyne, and it's 4-0, turned in by Julian Alvarez, and well, it's about how many now? De Bruyne advancing forward, outside it goes, chance for Foden, Foden clips it in, it's palmed away, and it's turned in by Cole Palmer. City looking to counter here, and the ball is in the possession of De Bruyne, and he puts it into the gap, and Alvarez is onto it, Alvarez through the middle. Still Alvarez, number 6. The stadium is half blue and half red. Can Mahrez give City the lead? The answer is most definitely yes. Foderingham goes one way, Mahrez tucks it in the other. It was enough for City to see off Brighton in their last successful FA Cup semi-final. Now here comes Mahrez, darting towards the edge of the area. Oh, he's all the way through and scored! Well, I never. He must have run 60 metres there, Riyad Mahrez. Grealish now up against Baldock and Berger. Tries to go in between the two of them. And Mahrez gets his hat-trick! Layoff from Grealish, first time in-step finish from Riyad Mahrez. That is a sweet, sweet finish. City fans, book your trips for Wembley. We're back here again in June.
The final FA Cup is a dream to play there.
The FA Cup is something very special.
And it's cup final day at Wembley.
Oh joy, more ecstasy. This time labelled Manchester.
Harvest scenes here at Wembley at its absolute
goal scored by Tilsey, which took the cup to Manchester.
Streaming, who lets it run, here's Hayes. City score. Such a potent threat, and Summerby wriggles his way through. This is a big chance, it's a goal. They are the winners in Wembley.
History beckons for Manchester City and Guardiola.
And Manchester derby in the FA Cup final for the very first time.
What a goal that is!
City fans, book your trips for Wembley.
Here come Manchester City on the attack.
The season is really, really good. So now we hopefully have to lift it.
Sensational free kick. Corner with a brilliant finish.
In from Phil Foden.
Haaland scores. Mahrez gets his hat-trick!